Hello and welcome to the impzonepod podcast. We are back again to talk more TNA wrestling shenanigans. And well, here we are. Basically the second week in a row with no real updates. The only real kind of update we have to the upcoming Victory Road card is a triple threat match between Jody Threat, Indy Hartwell, and Danny Luna. Now, I don't know, dude. It's an interesting situation now. It doesn't really wholly change too much, but I do feel like if you think about it, you start thinking, well, this is not just short term, this is long term or whatever, and things like that. So, like I said before, I think you kind of got to envision thinking about like how you're going to put Jody and Danny together in a match, like one-on-one, and you start to think like, well, Bound for Glory's there, you can do that. I think I said some of this stuff before in the video that I was making earlier about how to like put together like a thing for Bound for Glory card, predicting it way too soon. But saying in that, like, they could be in the Call Your Shot gauntlet of some sort, something like that. You could do it like that. Like, obviously the one-on-one match makes, like, the feud kind of, like, continue, and it's a big show and everything, so could be a big blow-off sort of thing, but it's not ready to blow off yet, so it's like, well, it makes more sense to kind of plod along, so to speak. Not literally plod along, but it does make more sense to sort of let's take it off the heat a little bit and take it back a little bit just so that we can extend it a bit longer, because we don't want to get the payoff quite yet of that, because it doesn't make any sense to get the payoff quite yet for that. So you kind of go, okay, well, when will that be? Where will that be? Or whatever. It won't be for probably another a few months or whatever it is. But anyway, I don't think it changes. I do feel like the reason they kind of did this was because I think like their feeling was like Danny was the best, or probably going to be the best person to challenge at Victory Road. So I kind of feel like that is where it's going, and maybe India's challenging at Bound for Glory. I don't really want to see Indy win it, especially this early in Ash's reign. It's like, I don't really like it when they sort of hot potato the title or ADHD the titles and things like that. So, yeah, I would rather, see, that develop out than you say, okay, well, let's go down the road for 6 months or whatever it is. And then, like, you can have the, I still think you can have the Inspiration win the belts if you want to do that. I was thinking that was a potential another match at Bound for Glory, but still, I feel like whether you're gonna put the belts on them, which I think you probably would be, but like if you're not going to, it starts becoming like, well, what else are you gonna do? Because there's like no real other tag teams, and I keep saying that they should just forget about that division or whatever it is, unless they're really gonna like, let's support it and let's freaking figure out how we're gonna like get more people. But then again, I think their main issue isn't like the fact that they can't do it. I think that their issue might be just like, again, like there's too many things sometimes, and you can't get everything. So it is what it is, and sometimes like you just don't have the money or the resources or whatever to kind of do these things. So again, I try to cut them some slack, and it's not very easy. So they try their best sometimes. But again, like, how much investment should they have? And I don't know. That's to me, like, maybe they should stop investing it and say, oh, well, let's go a different direction. Let's have one other Knockouts title, like a mid-card title, and then you've doubled your number of people, like, that you can work with, kind of thing. And you can still have tag matches sometimes. But, yeah. I don't know. But I guess, though, I could, like, stretch it out a little bit and say, well, like, we've sort of touched on this a fair bit. Like, we sort of have, I guess, that Trick has said, hey, I'm not defending it for 50 days, and that basically means it's bound for glory, I think. At least I hope that's correct, because, if he's not defending it at Bound for Glory, it starts becoming dude, what the heck? This starts becoming really what the heck is going on? I could get that you start saying he defends it in NXT, sure, okay, cool, but it doesn't, it does mean something, obviously, but it doesn't mean a whole lot, because a lot of the TNA fans, from my perspective at least, aren't really tuning in that much to the WWE events, or any of the new people, whatever, are really tuning into it. Because if they were, going to, they would have already basically done it. Realistically, and the thing is, the hardcore TNA fan base isn't really that big, so the number of people that are gonna switch over to watching NXT when, something from TNA is over there is very small. Maybe you could say you get some, maybe more casual fans that don't really watch it all that much tuning in, especially depending on who it is, like the Hardys or Joe Hendry or whatever it is, especially when it's announced in advance. It's great to have these big surprises, but it's also one of those things of saying, well, you need to know what you're tuning in to see, kind of thing. But I will say again, I skipped over this a little bit, but we were talking about it, how he's not going to, theoretically defend it for, 50 days or whatever. But we saw this week how Santana did pin Trick Williams. So that's kind of, we've said before, and I'll continue to say it, you've got to be, not just planting seeds at a certain point. You've got to be saying, okay, this is going somewhere, obviously. But that is the difficulty of it. Obviously it's kind of going somewhere, at some point, somehow. And yeah, we've got to keep our eyes and ears open to go, okay, well, how, when, where, how, why, all the things, etc., whatever. But as far as, Victory Road goes, I don't know, maybe we'll find out something next week when they have the live episode. I really think that they need to kick their little butts into gear on this one, because, yeah, it is, dudes, for frick's sake, you had over a month to build this, and, if you're gonna say, oh, we're not gonna have a title match, okay, a world title match, is okay, that's not great, especially since those are the things that really draw people in, that, or saying, okay, well, instead of having a world title match, we're gonna have some special number one contenders match that's fine, if that's what people know. What, again, let's come back to this point, what are we tuning in to see? Why are we tuning in if we think that, the championship isn't going to be defended? What's people's investment then? Because people, the thing that people are most invested in is the main event scene. You can't get away from that. You cannot get away from the fact that these characters and these stories are the things that get the most TV time, get the biggest reactions, and get the crowd going the most. So that is where the focus, ultimately does need to be. I do think, as I've said this thousands of times before, and I'll say it again, but again, you can't just focus on that. But again, that is where most of the focus does go. So it is tough. I get it. Okay, I had to look this up, because it was actually annoying me, and I was thinking, how far off was I with my calculation of thinking Bound for Glory is 50 days away. So it's 46 days away. So, but I think that they probably accidentally said 50 this week, when last week they said it was 50 and they didn't deduct the 7. So yeah, like that seems like pretty obvious there. So that means it's like 43 days, right? Yeah, 43 days, whatever it is, that Trick has to defend that title, at least like from that promo, whatever else. So that falls right in there, like 3 days later, whatever it is. Like, so that makes sense. I just had to know because like it was actually like I'd just done the math generally in my head, like, but now I have to actually, like, I didn't actually count it out, but I had to get it to count it out, like the calendar counting thing, app thing. Because otherwise I would be sitting here going crazy and being like, man, is that actually like 51 days or something, or something like, like it's just after it, or, because like, again, like you don't want people to be like, oh man, like, especially for Bound for Glory, this is the biggest show of the year. Like, I just said, like, the biggest drawing thing is what? The guys at the top having world title matches and having world title contending stories. And, the people that, have invested in that for however many months, weeks, years, whatever it is. And it's just a testament in many ways to Santana and to, well, especially Santana in some ways, but in some ways everything else. But again, just looking at Santana, like, he came back last year, and in 1 year, well, at least in theory, like, he's not the world champion, but he is in the main event. He came back, and, not that he was like a lower card guy. He was treated like an up and coming mid carder, that was on a probable main event level rise. So he was not really given a whole lot of losses, and the losses that he did like sustain, didn't ever derail him. They gave him something else and helped build him even more to and give him more stories to work with and more meat on the bones and stuff like that, and helped raise up some of the other people that are on the roster, because you can't just rely on one guy being the guy and doing the thing. You've got to have not just 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. You've got to have several. You've got to have several people that are there that you feel like, oh man, this guy could be the next top guy. This guy, oh, that guy, this girl, whatever. Like, anyone could break out at any time. You feel like, oh, this person could get it back. That person could, win it again, or whatever. Or, everyone's so close, and it's a competitive division of, sometimes this person's winning, sometimes that person's winning. Like, it's all back and forth. Somebody did something else, to get to the next level or whatever, up the intensity or whatever else it is, or change their gimmick or whatever, like, now there's a whole new like thing here and whatever. So it's like, oh yeah, cool, okay, you think of some people as well, like, would this person be better as a heel, maybe, or whatever. Let's see, because now here we go, like, that's what I'm thinking with Danny. It's like, oh, she gonna be, how good is this gonna be? I don't know. Wait and see, like, nothing's made and broken in 1 week or whatever. But yeah, if you like, I like the idea, at least, like, we're here and it's like 3 or 4 weeks or something like that, which will be whatever it is. What is it? September the 4th to September the 26th. So what is that? That is, let me find my calculator. Where is it? Okay. Oh, now that's August. So 1, 2, three weeks. That is not a very long time. 3 weeks and a day or so. So again, you get to that point of being like, oh yeah, okay, you know, we have 3 weeks to build this thing, like you should have more than that, but like again, if you've got a few weeks to put together something, it's like, okay, what is it? And what's next? Like, because again, like I was thinking like you have Danny and Indy, and is that like that's a pretty big like thing you could do like 4-way or 5-way or whatever else it is for the title again, so it's not like there's nothing else there. But one thing with that is like Masha is right now the top person until you bring in somebody that is kind of on that level, or bring back somebody that is kind of on that level, or you treat somebody, or somebody, makes it feel like they're on that level, where else are you going to go? Especially in like only a couple months. Like that's a really tough sell, so again, like not impossible to say that again. I already did, like I said, the predictions for Bound for Glory, which maybe I should have waited a bit, but I like trying to do it way too early. That was the idea of that video, whatever, and whatnot. But still, like again, like you've got to think, okay, like what's next, or whatever. What makes sense? You've got this feud brewing, you've got that going, you kind of got Tricky over here with his thing, like, so you've got to have some big thing between like him and Santana, whether he's already got the number one contendership or whatever it is at that pay-per-view, because otherwise, again, like if you do that, it starts becoming like, well, then what are you going to do for like 4 months? Or whatever, not 4 months, 4 weeks, or whatever, sorry. So, like, it does depend on what you're doing. Like, does he earn the title shot then? That makes some amount more sense, because then at least you can start going, okay, he's the definitive number one, this is where we're going, and, like, then you have to start saying, okay, he has to, attack, like, he's already attacked Williams. So Williams has got to come through with saying, hey, I've got a no contact order, blah, 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 and you can't touch me until this time at this place, or blah, 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 unless I touch you first, or whatever. And then, like, the week before, he finally touches him out of, something, and, then you, like, Santana finally gets his hands on him, after, so ever many weeks, or whatever it's been, and then finally next week's Bound for Glory. So that makes a lot of sense. But then again, I said this before, like Eric Young and Joe Hendry, okay, like I don't know, dude. You start looking at saying, are you gonna push EY into that main event picture? I don't know, because again, like it's tough. You, like I said before, you've got to have Joe Hendry in there somewhere, because he's one of your biggest guys. You can't forget. And maybe this is a WWE thing saying, hey, we want him, or we need him, or whatever it is, but TNA needs him way more than what WWE wants or needs him, because TNA, the drawing capacity that they have is 100% based on people who can get over, rather than WWE, where they have done really well in selling some of their shows on the fact that who they've got on their roster and where they're at and whatnot and that sort of thing. So that has helped. But again, like for really drawing people in, you've got to be like having like a lot of these big time stars on your roster. So people can go, oh, we'll get to see Joe Hendry. I don't know what he'll be doing, who he'll be feuding with, or we'll get to see the Hardys. I don't know who they'll be feuding with, or whatever. but we'll get to see these people that were like really big stars. So that's worth the ticket price, you know. And TNA is a lot cheaper than AEW or WWE. Like, they should raise their ticket prices a little bit, but like they shouldn't raise them to be too damn high, because again, that alienates people and whatnot. So you don't want people to feel like, oh man, these tickets are a ripoff. But you want people to feel like, oh man, at least we're getting, you know, somewhat of our value for money out of it. And if you think like, well, what, like they should base it on, well, what's the gate or whatever, what, you know, like how much did we pay for this building? How much are we paying our wrestlers? How much are we paying our crew? How much, you know, does everyone get? Like, and then how much profit is there in that or whatever else? And they're not profitable right now. So everything is going, you know, ticket sales, merch, everything else is just going to keeping the lights and the talent there, you know, and the crew there. So, but yeah, still, I don't like this when it's like, dude, you need to announce something. Like, even if, you know, it's barely anything. And I don't understand, again, like, I don't know why. I think somebody said that Nick Nemeth was having like some independent dates or something, which is why he was quote unquote suspended, or they wrote him out of stories, because they were like, oh, well, he's doing all these. Dude, the fuck your independent dates. Fuck your independent dates. TNA's paying you, should be paying you more. You know, and if they're not, they should fucking pull their fucking thumb out and say, no, we need you for these shows, especially since, like, when we come to Victory Road, that's in Canada. And then, like, this match should happen on pay-per-view, and you're not going to get it at Victory Road because Jeff can't fucking be there. Like, this wasn't well thought through. Now it's just going to be a random TV match or whatever. And then what are you going to do? Like, I don't know. That, or you got to really, like, keep it, like, lingering up to Bound for Glory or whatever? I don't think so. I don't think it makes sense, dude. Honestly. Like I said before, you could, like, insert someone in that Hardy's, Dudley's match, but, like, I don't know. Whatever. But yeah, guys, right now, I'm very hopeful for next week. As far as like they're announcing stuff goes, because obviously at least we'll get the knockouts, number one contendership. And I didn't say who I thought it would be. Actually I did say who I think it would be, but I'll make it clear that I think it will be Jody somehow. And I think maybe even Danny will cost her that match. I don't know, but tough to say. But like, how far off are these girls from, like, winning, like, Danny or Jody? I don't know, winning that belt. Like, maybe a good 6 months? Which is crazy. Like, same with, like, Indy. Like, she's right there now. Like despite anything else. Like, you know, you could start seeing her at that peak position. And that, if she has that a match at some point for that title, you know, you can start to think that she deserves to be in that position, and then maybe in a few months' time she'll finally get it. You know, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this one, and I hope you guys will join me again in another one.